So the first thing I'm going to ask us all is to meet with the eyes closed, including anybody who's joining online right now. Let's just allow the eyes to close where all projections fall away. And just as the eyes close, see who is looking. See what is still looking now that the eyes are closed. There are many beautiful faces. This one who is looking is the real face. It is the true face. It is the one who doesn't grow older. It has been the true face all the way along. So just with the eyes closed, continuing to look at the most beautiful face. Regardless of what kind of day you're having, regardless of the circumstances in your life. Mm. 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 And as recognition begins to happen, you begin to know waves of beauty. This is true beauty. And if you really let yourself fall, you let yourself, which is made up of all kinds of ways to show up in the world, ways to be somebody, structures of a self. You just let all of that fall. You have nothing to hold on to. And all that's left is the one who is looking. It is the same one. There is no more or less. There is no higher or lower when we come to this. Everything in the life experience is pointing to this. And then when this informs all experience, your whole life is an expression. of the godliness. And we are waiting for nothing. Every moment it is all right here. Not just as beautiful words, but as beautiful being. For being truly yourself, your real, deepest realization. Then your lived life is already what is longed for. So we're just taking this moment to really let go of all the worldly things. And just really give your real self the space just to be. You give yourself a break. And as more and more space begins to open up, see how it is to just allow yourself to go on opening. Just see if there's any place where you hit a boundary. Or as pure, aware, spacious being, can you go on opening up? Or the layers of protection we use to create boundaries in the world on a daily basis that can be appropriate. And are sometimes necessary. And sometimes we can forget and begin to live within those boundaries. And just right now is the invitation to, as pure, aware, spacious being, to open up. That same one who is looking, that same one is pure, aware, spacious being. And nothing is being asked of you. You are free to open up. And in a moment, in a few moments, we will come into the meeting where the eyes also open up and images come into view. But before we do that, before we go into the world of images, really give yourself this gift. To look into the free, wide, open, vast, endless, spacious, alive, vibrating, aware beingness. Each and every one is this. What appears like many bodies and many stories and many individual life streams has behind it and originates right here. The mystery from which you originate and from which you return to. The mystery that is really, truly you. The miraculous. That has created for itself trillions of forms. So take a moment before we open the eyes, take a moment to really drink from your own wellness. And then slowly coming to feel into this incredible body. You're traveling in. Feeling the sense of that in space and spaciousness. Or maybe just feeling into the hands and toes and feeling how the magic of that you can just put your intention right there and go there and feel that. Just the magic of that. What we just take for granted. And slowly, in your own time, and gently allow these magical eyes to gently come open. And as you do so, images come into view. I invite you to see what is looking through your eyes, what is still looking, and what is seeing behind the image. Good morning, even though some call it afternoon. So some very familiar faces here. And some I'm seeing for the first time. Yet, as I was saying, I know who you really are. I may not know your name, the name which you call this body, yet I know who you are. You can't hide from me. So thank you for being here, because without you, I got nothing to do. Well, so thank you also those of you who are joining online. Welcome to this little journey that I believe almost all of you in the room are here for the 4 days. Is that true? Yes? Is that true? Yes? Yes? You never know. Yeah, so this is really a little journey we take together as one. It's not, you know, it looks like I'm on this great big seat here with all this, like almost like a podium. Yeah. This doesn't mean anything. I want you to know that, yeah, without any doubt. Yeah. I'm the one who's looking through your eyes, saying, when you look from your truest being, the same looking is happening. Before all the filters and layers of structuring, pure, aware, spacious being is looking. And with this special seat and all this thing, doesn't make me have anything that you don't have. Yeah. So don't ever be fooled by that. Don't ever be fooled by that. But it's nice. So I say thank you. Yeah, so we're taking a little journey together as one. Yeah. And you know, there's been a lot of movement to come here, to meet here today, a lot of movements on the surface. Yet there's only been one movement when we go deeper. Just one movement moving has moved all those movements. And it seems like we've had to do a lot of arranging and creating and all these things. All that surface, if we are only taking ourselves to be that one on the surface, it seems really like an exhausting work that we've constantly got. Yeah. And the real movement underneath all that, that's brought each and every one to this meeting right now, the particular dynamic, the real movement that has moved all that, is effortless. So, you know, how do we know this deepest movement and this surface movement and all the layers in between all at the same time? That's the essence of this meeting, this journey we're taking together, to reveal and meet in all of that. Because there is no separation. There is no separation between the surface and the deepest. And quite often, especially nowadays, what a word, nowadays, especially nowadays, there's a lot of recognition happening of silent awareness, of stillness. And it's time for that. It's time for that, and it's definitely time for that if you're in this space and these kind of spaces. You know, you are called to that, and nothing else really satisfies until you are the knowing of the realizing that that is really truly you. Until you realize that that is really, really, truly, really you, that awareness is not a space that you dip into sometimes. That it's not an experience that you go to when you practice something. Oh, there are people, bodies walking.
Probably Arjun.
Okay, so nothing needs to be in any way disturbed. We just, is the door open, Dasha? Door open. So we just welcome these energies in without any distraction. Do we have, we have places for their bums. So, come on, we haven't got all day. Get your beautiful ass in here. Yeah. Welcome. So you can just drop everything. Yeah. And so yeah, what was all that about? So we are taking this journey together as one. Yeah. And if you're in this room, you are here to come to know that you are that space or place you dip into sometimes as awareness that frees you from all the hectic whatever you dip in, and everything is gives you the break from the madness of the world, and you dip into stillness and presence and so in this meeting, this is where we rest at home in ourselves and in all of life. In this meeting, you are here to know yourself truly as the one who's looking through your eyes, which is looking through every pair of eyes. Yeah? So in this sharing, we will explore and invite everything that appears. We won't just brush off, oh, that's just, well, I might. You never know, but in an integrated way. Yeah, because so often we get into these like non-dual meetings, or we go on that path where we are having recognition of deeper knowing, and yet on the surface of our life we are still run by patterns and conditions. So all of that will be part of this this exploration. Forget it all. What's your name?
Joanna.
Joanna. Hello. Where did you come from?
Glastonbury.
I'm happy to meet you. And what is your name?
Sharon.
Sharon, hello.
Hi.
Where did you spring from?
From Epsom, south of London.
Welcome. Who the hell are you?
Kim.
Bo.
Kimbo.
Welcome. What is your name?
Rita.
Huh?
Rita.
Rita. Hello. Where were you made?
In the Austrian Alps.
Austrian Alps. Very nice. The freshness. Smell the freshness. Welcome. So, as I was saying, it's the it's the same girlfriend, right? I'm very happy to meet you again. We cannot forget playfulness in all of this. It's not serious. Although seriousness happens, doesn't it? Okay, so just checking in with long time no see, yet seeing you all the way. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Katie. Mm. 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 Amazing grace. Yes. Yes, that's good. Yeah. Mm. Sarah. Thank you. Mm. It was him. What is your name, lovely?
Alina?
Alina. Hello. Don't be scared of me because I'm sitting on a big seat like this. Yeah. Doesn't mean anything. What brings you here? He's a good man. Emma. Hmm. Thank you for coming, Lawrence.
I'm just that lady.
And no less, Dasha. No less, Darshana. Beloved. I haven't forgotten you, Mark.
So.
So just like that, it's, it's like we all have name and form. Attila, I didn't say your name.
Oh.
We all have name and form. And we need that. We need name and form. How can you move in the world without having a name and a whole life story that goes with that? You can't. And we're not here to brush that off. We're here to be in that fully. So what these meetings, these journeys are about, actually, this journey we're taking together, this 4 days, is a deepening in realization. No matter what stage of realization you appear to be, because some may be coming for the very first time, and maybe some language which I speak is just like what is she talking about, you know? And what I'm talking about is not in the language. Don't believe a word I say and don't listen to any of it. What I'm talking about is not in the language, but the language is pointing and bringing about an essence which is transmitting. So just be open to receive that, and the words don't matter. Yeah? And that makes it really easy and really simple, because then you're no longer struggling to understand or work out the words and their meanings. You can just let them all go, and you taste. You taste. So these 4-day intensives is the first. I think it's the first, or maybe we had one last year, but it's the first 4-day intensive we're having here in England. And that extra day gives a little bit more of a journey where, you know, it starts to move and it starts to undo, and it's like a journey we take together, and it's a movement where, as I was saying before, it's one movement that's moved us all to come here. And that same one movement is moving all of this. I don't have any idea what words will come here, but the energy in the room is moving them. Yeah, I don't have any idea at all. Yet the energy in the room is moving these words. And in the same way, as each one begins to move, that will move the whole. And in that way, you see how in a little collective that we are forming here is coming undone by one movement. You see that very easily in these little journeys. And if you can see it in here, you can see it in the bigger picture. What you are facing in your life, in the difficulties in your life, in the challenge, in the places that bring you to the extreme and to the contrast, and they make you almost break down all that you thought you were, and you had it all together, gets all broken down because it just doesn't work to deal with what's coming at you, that you are broken down yet again to be made new, to be able to deal with the next level of what's coming. So it can seem like your whole life's falling apart and it makes no sense, and yet within that movement, within that process, you're being made into what you don't yet know you will become, and you don't know how to deal with it. And that can leave you feeling sometimes insecure and all those things that we get to feel on the human levels. Yeah. So when you can see what takes place in here, when you can see that what you're actually going through, oh, so is everybody else. When you can start to see that you've never been alone in any of it, when you can start to know that so directly in a little space like this, you know it collectively, and you stop taking things fucking personal. Stop it. Just stop it. Yeah. Stop it. You think that about me? Okay, so I will shut up a little bit and open the space for some interaction. Is there anybody who would like to it can be questions, answers happen, or confirmation, or exploration, inquiry, or any of it, you know, you are welcome. The only thing that I will throw out is what's not real. And it's not me who's throwing it out. In a space like this, there's an intensity of presence. And that in itself, without anything, without you needing to do anything, that will move all those levels in between. Just the intensity of presence will move all those levels in between. Feel welcome. I'll try to shut up. The question, Rita, isn't it? Yes.
How can I move on the surface levels of my life,
Yeah.
but keep this way of connection?
That is a really beautiful first question of this 4 days. And I'm going to ask you at the end of the 4 days to give the answer.
No pressure.
You will. You will.
Okay.
You will. Yeah? You will. Do you feel like to come closer?
No, I'm actually very
Okay. 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 So when you ask that, how can I move from this deepest knowing into the surface of my life? Yeah. It's really, really simple, actually. When you are willing to be true to what you know deeper than anything, you know, because in between what you know very deeply, what do you know very deeply? Can you tell?
I don't feel very deeply a sense of connection.
You do or you don't?
I do.
You
Very
do
deeply.
feel very deeply a sense of connection.
Yes.
Yes? Yeah. Inside of that sense of a connection, inside of that, there is a knowing, even if on the surface level you don't know what.
Okay.
Inside of this sense of connection, if you can go there right now,
Okay.
go right inside that sense of connection. And if you'd like to keep the eyes open, this was one of the reasons I was inviting you here, because then I will just penetrate you and you cannot move anywhere. But you did a good move staying there. So if you keep eye contact with me, even with the perceived distance, if you go to where that sense of connection is and you go right inside of that, just by going and staying in eye contact with me, just going there, right inside of that is a knowing. Yeah? Yeah? So this knowing doesn't know what. It's not a knowing of what. It's not a knowing of the surface.
It doesn't.
No. But there's a knowing, right?
Yeah.
So move your life from that knowing. So sometimes we are presented with situations, and on the surface we try to work it all out. And there are so many ifs and buts and this and that and this way and that way and da 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 da. And yet, if we go really deeper, there's a knowing. But often we will cover over that knowing, because if we really move from that knowing, it can create a lot of changes on the surface, which can bring fear. So quite often we keep ourselves busy and whatever, not to listen to that knowing. Yeah, and there's the disconnection. So that it appears like on the surface level we are somebody who is not a transmission, an expression of realization. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. So just that conversation there will move a lot of things. Yeah? Yeah. 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 And then it's not something we need to start thinking about. It's already being moved. It's already being moved. Yeah. And it will move the thinking too. So just like that, you can see that question that Rita came up with was actually here in the collective. She's not the owner of that question, right? So she's just moving energy that's in the room. Isn't that right, Mark? Oh, shit.
No, I'm not ready yet. There's a time.
I hear you. I hear you. Timing is everything. Yeah. Timing is everything. If we can be in correct communication, timing is everything. Timing is everything. And to move energy with the right timing, we need to be truly awake and listening. Otherwise, we just get this thing we know, and then we move with our own, and there's no attunement to the correct timing of all involved. Ella.
Thinking about connectedness and that connection.
Would you like to come closer, Ella? You won't be in front of the camera unless you want to. No? Okay. I'm going to give you a little drop of magic. Thank you. That's what you get when you get on this chair. The truth serum.
Oh, what is that?
Aha.
That's nice.
It's Palo something.
It is fast.
Oh, my heart's really beating.
Ah, thank God your heart's beating. Huh? So just take a moment to be with that heartbeat without trying to wish it would just slow down and do anything different than it's doing. Just meeting it as it is. And everybody in the room is right here with that heartbeat. Nobody is checking out into their own little personal stories. They don't do that in here. Okay, Anna.
So I feel in my life, as over the past period of time, the past few years, particularly the past year, there seems to be this ruthless kind of stripping back of, in a really beautiful way, of all these obligations I've been placing on myself and on others, and these kind of rules and things. And it's leaving a peace in me, a simplicity in my life, and a feeling of connectedness inside. But I'm feeling all my, not all, but a lot of my relationships, my friends from always, I'm finding it increasingly difficult to impossible to connect. I feel like I'm there. I somehow need to start all over again and find a way to communicate. So
take a moment for that wave. That's a wave moving through. Just take a moment to really be there for that. Don't try to push that wave down. Just meet it. Just, yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a death, isn't it? Yeah, there's a dying happening. Yeah. Who you thought you were and who you just cannot be anymore because it's just so limiting. And it holds you in such limitation. And yeah.
It doesn't feel like sadness. It doesn't feel like sadness.
Yes.
For me, it feels so clear.
Yes.
But yeah, there's that death of things that I held it's so close.
Yeah. Almost like a grief and a loss. Yeah. It's okay to feel that. It's all included. Yeah. Yeah. With every death, there's going to be that. Yeah. Yeah. And what you're basically dying to is a layer of your self-identity that you're realizing is too limiting. Yeah. And you can't play it anymore. And it appears difficult because your friends want you to show up as that and you just cannot. So it seems like you're having to be
well, I'm just not showing up at all,
right,
and I can't explain it.
Yeah, you don't need to.
But I feel from people that are close to me that they're reaching out and they think there's a problem. Are you okay? What is everything okay? And it's yes, but I can't be there in that way right now.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. You know how you can really be there, be here, with this beautiful honesty that you're bringing right now.
How do you go with that when you don't want to be met with people that I feel perhaps people that might not be ready to go there and they can't quite hear it, and I don't want to alienate anyone. I don't want.
Yes. Can you take a moment to just feel that sense of discomfort of not knowing how to be? Can you take a moment to just recognize that not knowing how to be? Take a moment for that sense of unease and discomfort in your small self. Yes, you don't know how to be. And just give that a little space. So what you're not used to, Ella, is moving from not knowing. That's what you're not used to yet. Your small self has been kind of formed itself into a way to try to do this life and know how to show up, you know? And that small self has become the limitation. So to move actually from not knowing, I mean, you moved right here onto this chair not knowing. Yeah? How does it feel to move from not knowing? It was scary, your heart started racing. How is it right now to be moving in this moment from not knowing? It's okay. Even with the heart was racing for a moment. You know, what's going to happen now? I'm getting on this chair. There are cameras around. There are lots of people. Yeah? You stepped. You jumped because it was a true movement for you. In the face of all that, fear and not knowing, you stepped. That's all you need to do. You just keep stepping in the face of fear, in the face of not knowing, for what you know to be true. Because the ones that will remain in your life will change through your change. They'll change to adapt, even if it doesn't happen in a moment. They will change to adapt to the new. Yeah?
So being the openness is how I move forward, is that being open and honest.
Being honest is your key. Being honest is your key. Just feel the freedom of being honest. Oh shit, you know, when you've got to pretend something anywhere in your life, in any little corner, you've got to pretend something. What a weight to bear. Oh God. Get me out of that box, yeah? Any little corner that you have got to pretend anything. Anything. Even for a millisecond. Any little corner where you've got to pretend. Ugh. You sell your soul for that. In order to please somebody, in order to get liked, to get love, to all that trading. You sell your soul when all that you really, really need is to be honest. And with that, you bring a deeper you, which is the greatest gift you can bring to any meeting ever. Doesn't matter if what your honesty is not what they would like it to be. Your honesty is your shining beauty. Well, thank you. Thank you for moving in the face of fear, moving this energy. And look what is staying in your life. I mean, you've got a lovely guy who's dedicated to this honesty. Yeah?
Oh, I definitely count my blessings for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Truly blessed.
Yeah. You are truly beautiful. And this beauty will never disappear. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mm. Many of you will have experienced that when you start changing, and you're no longer able to play those small ways that you made up a self that you realize doesn't exist, and then some of your friends just can't deal with it. You know, you'll notice that some fall away, many fall away. Yeah. Many fall away, never to return. And some grow with you. Kim, I've known since I was 19. Yet, it's not the same person. We were wild drug addicts in those days. But that's an exaggeration. You'll never know. Yeah, and you know, many you have seen in your life that a whole episode of your life, it all just falls away and it just cannot anymore. And as you move, you know, you end up being surrounded by beings like this who are here for what is real. And that is such a relief. Yeah. Such a relief. And when each one of us, start moving our whole world from that, then all those beings are also touched and moved. And this is how we're moving the whole planet. And this is what is needed. You cannot just stay in one little, it's not just little old you getting your life right so you feel comfortable. You know, you are moving the whole planet. With every movement you make, you're moving that level. And the more that you awaken in this, the more you are awake to the responsibility you have in dishonesty. Dishonesty, not dishonesty. Yeah? So, how are you doing, Sarah?
All right, yeah, I'm just a little bit, when you were just saying then about the movement of the planet and the awakening consciousness. I have a lot of friends involved in the anti-fracking movement at the moment.
I think you're going to have to explain to me what that means. I'm illiterate. I've been out of England for 30 years and I don't have the language.
Yeah, sure. So it's basically drilling. I don't know as much as my friends do, but it's drilling into the ground and creating really horrendous pollution into the waters of the UK that the government have agreed to.
Could you go slowly? Because this is a language that I'm going to have to go slowly with to try to, yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about people are drilling into the ground.
Yeah.
To do what?
To extract gas.
Yeah.
And it is creating havoc with the water systems. It's going to pollute our water systems. It's a real deep concern.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking about what you're saying about this whole idea of how we are evolving and how that has a knock-on effect.
Yes.
But I also see my friends going to the front line, and there's this kind of, they're fighting for what they believe in, which is amazing, because they feel deeply at the planet, but also there is also like an anger against the people who are doing it, and there is also a separation.
What is your question?
I don't know.
Because basically what you're referring to is the madness,
Yeah.
the dysfunction,
Yeah.
right? If we can just put that into a category, dysfunction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Is there a question about the dysfunction?
So I guess it's, what is there something that we can do as beings to alleviate that dysfunction, I suppose, too?
You mean, how can we save the world?
Is there something that we can do? Yeah.
See. Come on, let's get our boots on. We'll go down to the front line. No. See, what I'd like to invite you is, as I was speaking about your deepest knowing and the surface level and all the levels in between. So I'd like to invite you to go to where that question is coming from. Go to that level from where that question is coming from. Could you go there?
Yeah, it's coming from a concern of my friends and what is right, what is the right thing to do.
Yes, my point is, hello. My point is, in the levels of what we experience in being what we are here, right? In all of those levels, you are still awareness. Your nature is awareness, no matter what level you're in. Awareness can be in dysfunction, right? But your nature is always awareness, right? So the level from which you are tuning into comes from the belief in the first place of separation. It comes from the duality level, right? So you can find an answer in that level to satisfy that level if you want, but it's not going to change where you're coming from and the inherent dysfunction that comes with duality. Dysfunction is a byproduct of duality. It has always been there, and it will most probably always be there. Yeah? We cannot fix dysfunction anywhere except here. We can notice where the dysfunction is happening here and inform that with our truest knowing. So rather than go out to what your friends are doing and how to try to fix and change and save the world, come to this world here and attend to the dysfunction here. Understand it through awareness. Understand what it is through awareness. It is your inheritance. I often say, don't complain about your inheritance. Yeah? It is your inheritance. What you inherit is here. You've inherited that, and through you, the dysfunctional patterns in existence in humanity are being awakened to. You're waking up to that. Through you, as a being here, a different step is possible. All the steps that have been taken before you got the inheritance, you know, we have a history of wars behind us. They're all born of duality. The dysfunction we're facing now is a result of dysfunction moving dysfunction and the belief in separation. It's all, yeah. The only, from where I look, the only work you have to do is in the change that you can make within your own world by taking new steps. Because you could be activated into a rage, into a revenge, into any of those reactions can go off like a fire in you. And I'm saying that because they got a hot flush coming in. Ride that wave, baby. It's called menopause. Any of those reactions and rage and revenge and all those feelings can go off in you. Just in your small little life situation when you're faced with this dysfunction and your system just knows that that's absolutely not right and comes up with a scream. Because of awareness, you have the possibility to step in a whole new way. Yeah, that's your responsibility, and that's all according to your level of awareness.
So if I step into my own system then with that story, I would say that where returning to your question of how are you, I would say I'm feeling fear in the system.
Would you like to come closer?
I can do, yeah.
I'm not going to take away your fear. I wouldn't be that awful. What was the question?
It was more a statement of
Right, you were saying so you feel fear.
yeah.
Is there anybody in this room that doesn't experience fear with all what's going on this planet? You don't experience fear?
I don't experience fear.
That's probably because you're walk the walk.
I don't experience fear. I experience pain, but I don't experience fear.
Okay, well, your turn will come. So, apart from that, is there anybody who doesn't ever get to experience fear on this? Yeah? Do you ever experience fear? What was your name again?
Alina.
Alina. Sorry, I forgot your name. I know your true name. Do you ever experience fear? Yeah. So fear is something that's very heavy in our collective. Yeah. It's part of the collective consciousness and nobody is exempt. Right? Yeah. Whatever's in this collective consciousness, I experience it all. All of it, every single little bit of it, all of it. Yeah? Can you allow that to move through you without landing in a story about it? And for you to actually, within the experience of fear, to actually, within that, find what is afraid. Find what is really, use that moment to really, really find what is you in the midst of all that. And not just as a nice way to escape or a nice intellectual thing, but actually being right in the middle of fear and finding, okay, what am I in the midst of all this? What am I? Is fear okay to move through here? Yeah. Can I know myself in the midst of fear? If that can move through, just like all the clouds move through the sky, without landing in all the panicky stories, it doesn't contract. There's no contraction. You're a living being of existence. You are the whole existence. And when I say these words, I don't mean them like, you are the whole existence, you know? I don't mean like that. I mean, move into the direct experience of what you are.
So if I move into the direct experience, because I feel the contraction around the heart, if I move into that and I drop into that, there isn't always a. It feels like
Can
it's
you
a
hear what you're
process.
saying? Can you hear what you're saying?
It's like, yeah.
You
actually,
would like to not feel that contraction around the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you would like.
Yeah, which is actually dissing it in a way. It's like saying you're not allowed, isn't it?
You would like to not feel that contraction around the heart because you identify in it. There's a contraction around the heart. Can you come right to it? And consciously open. Because it's where we contract, it's a learned behavior in the system. It's been learned. And for it to unlearn, we have to step in a new way. It's been learned, you know, the body is like, has its program running now. If something is really, really threatening and there's really a whole lie of dysfunction coming at you, a contraction around the heart, it happens without your doing, right? Yeah, you don't control that contraction, right? It's happening. So how can you meet that in a way you've never met it before? By really, really, really coming to it and just being it. And beginning to open. It's a bit like I'm always doing this, you know. I'm always doing this. Because this little crazy little mad thing here, this one, has learned all kinds of, through extreme experience. You know, each and every one, this one has its own mechanisms, its own particular ways to do that, you know. Well, so does this one. And just because my eyes are opened, my body still has its programming. And slowly, slowly, I am the greatest lover I ever longed for. I'm the one that's always here. I'm the one that's always, okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. and it can open. It's a bit like, it's not a pet. But it's a bit like the child. Yeah, it's the child. And physically, I didn't have a child, but I got one here. You know, that's the one. Unconditional. Yeah, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Yeah, it's all okay. Give it a kiss. This little, yeah, this little nervous system that, you know, it's developed its responses to this crazy. Yeah, it's done that. So now you're the one who can let it know that it's okay. It's okay here. You know, it's okay. There's nobody actually who's ever going to die. You know that? Sure, this body will stop one day. And nobody, no matter what kind of chair they're sitting in, nobody's going to escape that. Right? Right? This body is going to stop and fall off. And oh, who does it matter who you became in this life? What does it matter then? Huh? Yeah? You don't need to try to become somebody. What does it matter then? Yeah? This is all going to stop and fall off. So what really, really matters in that moment should be the ultimate meaning of this moment. Right? So when you are like this little one, just with the knowing that, you know, there's nobody who's actually going to die. You are pure existence. Forms are changing, and that terrible fear of death is out of the misidentification with a sensation of separate self. What a liberation. What a liberation to truly realize your existence. So in this meeting, we will be deepening in this realization. We're not here to fix and change the world. The world is anyway a fabrication of what you give to it. You know? We're not here to fix and change the world. We would never succeed in that. It's the world. Yeah? The deepening of realization. Otherwise, what has your whole life been about? On that moment of the deathbed, what really does it matter how much you got in the bank? Will you be worried what you got in the bank? If you've got a week to live, you won't be counting your pennies, will you? Yeah? What will you be counting? What will you be counting, Alina? Huh? How much you loved? How much you could have given of your heart? Yeah? What will have value? The ways in which you have protected yourself and held back love, you will see fucking what a waste of energy. Yeah. Oh. Would anybody like to say what would matter really the most? If you knew that you were leaving the body this week, what would matter the most? I really like. Yeah.
I'd like to be for light spirit.
What?
I'd like to feel light.
You'd like to feel
Free
light?
from attachment.
Mm. Well, you better start now then. You know, you better start now.
Yeah.
And this life is a perfect, this life that we live is a perfect platform on which we practice constantly giving up. Is she giving up and leaving us?
Yeah, giving up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel the expansion and softening through those words, yeah.
Mm. At a certain point, you realize there's nothing I can do.
We get ourselves into knots, don't we?
Yeah. There's nothing you can do except give of your heart a little bit more. In those situations that are really calling you to die, you know. Okay. Let's have one more before we take a break. Anybody is welcome.
Ananta, can
You want some of my oil, I know.
I, yeah, I do want some of that. Mine's, I've been hearing myself and everything that's been happening.
Yeah.
Well, what am I called?
Would you like to come closer?
I would.
Was it Julia?
Sharon.
Sharon, sorry. It's almost the same.
Call me Julie. What's on there?
You've been hearing in everybody that's shared
In
so
every-
far, yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And then it comes to a head, and mine's about an awful lot of fear at the moment.
In this moment.
Well, not in this moment.
Forgive me.
In my life. And because I put myself in that position. So, I'm starting.
Which position do you put yourself in?
Okay, so I'm going right out of my comfort zone in my life. So I've given up my job and I'm starting a business.
Is it a business that's fueled from your heart?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what is brought up is so much fear.
Could you take a moment to actually be here for this wave that's moving through your body? Could you just, yeah. Ah. Yeah. Now take a moment to really come into let this incredible phenomena of feeling be welcomed by what you are. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at
Suddenly. You don't have to figure that out.
No, well, I do know, but it's like just that aliveness, really.
Yes.
It comes with that.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Just by stopping, because, so often the fear that we experience and all these waves and all that, a story gets added to it, and it's the story that starts driving the train.
Yeah.
And you abandon yourself. You don't meet these waves, and then there's disconnection. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So I've been in that story, and my knowing, which at times is, strong, I've not been able to connect with it. So I've been here, and I'm doing.
Right, and yet as you make this report, you can see that you are still the knowing within all of that. You're knowing that you're all over the place and you're spinning in the story and all of that, but you are still the knower of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if all that spinning is going on and you're jumping all over the place, that's been the way that your little self has known how to be. And even within that, you are still the knowing, right? So let's not overlook that no matter what your experience is all the time, even if your experience is not fitting with the right spiritual thing to do, even if your experience is you're not doing, you're not getting it right on the surface, you are still the knower. You are still the knower. Who do you take yourself to be? Do you take yourself to be the one who's not getting it right? You are still the knower of that. Yeah? Sorry, what was your question?
I'm not sure. Really, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the discomfort of that overwhelm and fear.
Yes.
And what I want is to actually really, well, what I want, actually, that's not true. What I want is not to have that.
What do you want for Christmas?
What I want, so it's the
We could get a list. What's your Christmas list? They do that in England,
yeah. And it's so everything you've been saying is the not wanting that discomfort.
Yeah. So what are you going to do about that?
I'm going to relive this moment.
Can your life really be without discomfort?
No.
To be in a human form is the inclusion of sometimes comfort, sometimes discomfort. It's the nature of being in the human form. The aspect of you that doesn't want to feel discomfort is not your real self. That aspect of you that doesn't want to feel the discomfort is a learned behavior, only because there's no meeting point. So it's a learned self you've got going who doesn't want to feel the discomfort, and then out of that pattern, the seeking for pleasure and the covering over and all the habits that then train off from that, and kind of addictions that are born out of that. Have you got any addictions?
Anxiety.
You're addicted to anxiety?
Yeah, I think I am. That's where I go. It's.
But are there ways in which you cover that up?
Denying it,
So what you can see is that habit that you're seeing that goes in all the anxiety and all of that, that's just a mechanism of the nervous system. So your work is to retrain the nervous system, right? You got it. You are the knower. You are the one. You are the love. You are the peace. You are the openness. You are the awareness. You are the freedom. You are the truth. You are the way. You are the one who can show your nervous system a new way. It's a matter of retraining the nervous system.
My child.
Huh?
My child.
Yeah, but then you got to be careful because, I call it, this is, the child nervous system in this little Ananta form. It's quite extreme, and, it's been through a lot. So it's got all its fireworks. Yeah. So the retraining of that, it's like if I then tell myself, oh, my inner child, and then I start going into inner child work and get into a whole, it can easily become a whole psychological belief all over again that there is a child here that needs healing, right? Which is just another trap, really, because it's more like a mechanism. There's not something other than what you are that you can find in existence. And I don't want you to take my word for that. I will move with you in these days to explore the truth of that. If you can find anything that exists apart from this which is aware, then I would like you to bring it here. And there will be yes buts, and there will be all around, and that is going to be what we're looking at, what is welcome, what some clarifying. You cannot find anything in existence other than what is looking through your eyes. There are psychological patterns, there are misidentifications, but where do you find, where can you the power they have is the belief you give them. But this is not, you know, it is very easy, and also you will be challenged not by your own little nervous system, but by thousands of years of reinforced belief systems. You're challenged by all that mechanism, but the knowing of you that sees through it all is key. That's it. Now, I feel like we're moving towards the end of this moment of conversation, yet it's just beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Neither Julie or Sharon. You. You.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, as you were not here right at the beginning for the dropping. I don't know really, Alina. Is this the first time that you're coming to something like this? Yeah, yeah. So what I just want to invite you, because we're going to take a break in a moment. Yeah, I want to invite you to not think about it. Just be here. Just moving to the simplicity of just being here. You know, we all have a commentator. We all have a commentator, a voice in the head that's saying, this is that, this is this, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad, this is that, this is that, this is it. Anybody doesn't have one of those? Yeah, well, don't believe that voice. Don't believe that voice. That is not your true power. That is not your true magnificence. So I'm going to invite you into a deeper knowing of what is really you. So the first thing in that is just don't think about any of this. Any of it. Just being here. So we are going to take a break. I mean, when we take a break from this sitting, you have to give yourself a break. Yeah. So in this break, the invitation is to give your body what it needs, food, water, whatever. Yeah. To in these days, we will be spending the time in between the sessions in silence, really giving the possibility to really be together spaciously. You don't have to show up. The invitation is just to be allowed to be. The habit when we are together with others is that we have to answer to something. We have to, just become spacious being together. Was there some question about that? So yeah, give your body, mind what it needs, and if you can find a space after that to get comfortable, lay down, sit, whatever you can find. And then take 1 hour to what I call drop, and I do like this, this is just drop, 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 drop. It means that you don't need to be bothered with that, you don't need to be bothered with that. Let that one, let it, whatever arises, let it fall. Whatever arises, let it fall effortlessly. It's not meditation, even drop that. Before we close the eyes for a moment, is there any question? Then let's allow the eyes to close. Give yourself the space to really rest. Om Shanti. Thank you for your presence. And thank you, everyone online, for your presence. We will start the next session at 4:30. You are welcome to use in the kitchen or the, what do you call them? Condiments. Funny words. Condiments. Tea, coffee, stuff. Yeah. Okay. See you then.